Hello, I'm Jason, this is Lennie. Today we're going to be talking about fertiliser sheds. We're finding a lot of clients investing in fertiliser sheds of late with the fluctuation in pricing and the issues with supply. A lot of clients are getting on board building these sheds and finding them extremely beneficial. There's also, as you'd know, a lot of fertiliser suppliers are advising against storing fertiliser in vertical storage silos, so sheds have become the perfect solution. So what we've done is compiled a list of common questions regarding fertiliser storage. First one being, Lennie, what's the best way of storing fertiliser?
Yeah, so as you've mentioned, with vertical storage becoming a less favourable storage option for fertiliser, it really means that going forward, sheds are the perfect solution for this. There's a couple of reasons. One of the big ones is the efficiency. So efficiency of loading and unloading fertiliser into the shed is a big one, and also the safety aspect of it. On top of that, a fertiliser shed can have a number of uses, so it's very versatile. Anything from machinery storage to short-term grain storage during harvest. There's a lot of options there, which I guess leads us to our next question here. What is the best fertiliser shed design?
Yeah, so with fertiliser being a very corrosive product, concrete panel walls are a must. We manufacture concrete panels in-house, so we've got control over the quality and supply of these. On the actual configurations of the sheds, there's two main configurations we mainly see. You get the fully enclosed shed with sliding doors for access. That design's the optimum design, gives you the best protection for the commodities inside. The other option, of course, is just the open fronted shed, which also work very well. So that's the two designs we see the most of. Other design points we bear in mind, for example, things like how you intend to load the shed. For example, if you're tipping a semi inside the shed to offload, then we often put a bit of extra eave height in the shed, even make the roof pitch a bit steeper, just to give you the necessary clearance. Other points too, like segregation, for example. If you do intend to store two different types of fertiliser, for example, urea and MAP, then we often work in with clients to put in some either permanent or temporary dividing walls inside the shed, so clients can store their required quantities inside the shed. So that's some key considerations with regards to the configuration and design. Now we'll speak about the size of the shed. So how do I determine what size shed I need, Len?
Yeah, well, there's a couple of things that dictate the size of the shed. Firstly, the capacity of the shed, or how much you're looking to store in terms of tonnage. And the other one to consider is the bulk density or weight of the product that we're storing. So as we know, with the weight differences between the likes of urea and MAP, just having an understanding of how much storage you're looking to have, and then designing the shed to suit. We have published a flyer that has a few design suggestions with a 500 tonne shed and a 1,000 tonne and a 1,500 tonne shed. These are just some suggestions only to get started with, but we do like to design each shed for your individual needs. So feel free to have a browse at that and get in touch with us to discuss your exact needs. So that leads us on to probably the most common question: how much does it cost us to build a fertiliser shed?
Yeah, so the cost of the shed obviously varies quite a bit depending on the size of the shed and the configuration, these types of things. As with most products, the bigger the shed, the more cost effective per tonne it'll be. But on a bit of a price guide for a smaller shed, say that stores around about 500 tonne, something like that would cost around about $200,000, somewhere around that mark. Up to say a 1,500 tonne shed might be closer to somewhere in the $300,000 to $400,000 mark. But yeah, feel free to get in touch with us directly, and we'll be very keen on putting together an accurate quote for your particular project. Another common question we have is, why concrete panels? What do you say about that, Len?
Yeah, that's a good one. There's a couple of advantages. The number one advantage, I think, is the corrosion protection. So given how corrosive fertiliser as a product is, concrete is the obvious solution for this. It's also the most durable product when it comes to storage on the walls, given especially the weight of fertiliser. We also, as we've touched on earlier, we manufacture these in-house to guarantee us that quality control and supply. And we're also able to, as we've said, segregate or customise the shed a little with concrete T-walls. So they're the main advantages of concrete panels. And speaking of concrete panels, another common question that we get is, can I retrofit panels or repurpose an existing shed with panels for fertiliser storage?
Yeah, so that's a good question too. Once again, very common one. So with the sheds, mostly it's no dramas at all. If the shed hasn't been designed for the additional load of fertiliser or grain in the shed, we may have to install some additional steelwork to support the panels. But each job's different, so feel free to get in touch, and we're more than happy to visit site or to look at your particular project and see what we can make work. And the final question we have here is, what's the lead time on a new fertiliser shed?
Yeah, well, this can be seasonal, but given the build process and all that it can involve, including slab curing times and the necessary permits, we think it's safest to allow between 4 to 6 months to build a fertiliser shed. Yeah, so we hope that's been helpful to answer your questions in relation to fertiliser storage. We do have a lot of resources and a learning hub on our website that answers a lot of questions. But as always, feel free to give us a call, and we'd love to speak with you.